Hey everyone, welcome to Time to Thrive. I'm your host, Bethany Meadows, and I am so excited to introduce you to this amazing guest. From his humble beginnings as the son of a milkman and his first job as a janitor, EA found business success by applying his various work experiences and key relationships. Inspired by a business mentor's fight with diabetes, they partnered to formulate food and drinks in the wellness space. This was the beginning of a 45-year business legacy where they created, designed, invented, and formulated over 75 products distributed in over 20 countries. He is the author of numerous books, is listed in the Who's Who for public speaking, and is the founder of the Givers University, where he teaches others how to live well. EA became a millionaire at age 23, established and owned a 1,000-acre wildlife sanctuary, is a commercial pilot, has a second-degree black belt in martial arts, and is an advanced certified scuba diver. And I'm leaving so much out, but I'm sure we can fill in some of those gaps. Welcome to the show, EA.
Thank you so much. And I was listening to you say all those kind words, and I was listening to that list, and I was thinking, well, none of that's as long as my last name, so I better get going because, none of this part-time stuff. It's time to get serious.
Which I just avoided saying altogether. So it's EA Csolcovits.
Correct.
And you wouldn't even be able to spell it, but I'm sure that makes it memorable, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And like I said earlier in the show, or when you and I were talking before, until I was 12 years old, I thought my name was Go Chop Wood. And then when I was getting my pilot's license, I thought my instructor thought my name was Where the Hell You Going? Because that's all he ever said to me. That's all he ever said. Where the hell you going?
That's funny. Well, give us a little about your background and how you got started, because you have a really interesting story. And here in the South, I'm based in Birmingham, Alabama. We like to know who you are as much as what you can do. So tell us a little bit about you.
Awesome. Happy to do so. I was born in the Chicagoland area. I live in Michigan now. Born and raised in the Chicagoland area and greater Oak Brook area. And my father was a milkman. And, back then, this is, over 5 decades already. I don't know how that happened. I'm getting ready to have the 45th anniversary of my 21st birthday. And back then, milk came in glass gallons. And my father was a milkman. He had his own little route. It was his route. He was for Twin Oaks Dairy, and he'd get up every morning at 3 a.m. And back then the delivery trucks were not refrigerated, so he had to go bust up ice. So every morning at 3 a.m. he would go, and many times at 5 years old I would go and help him. But he would chop up with a big ice pick these 6-foot-high blocks of ice, and just chop them up with this ice pick, and then take big tongs and put those on top of the milk. And that's how he kept the milk cold, or chilled at least, while he was delivering it. And the amazing thing, Bethany, that I think back was, outside everyone's home, there was the milkman's box. There was always money in the milkman box, and not one time did anyone ever touch it. Different times, right? Yeah. And so, and that was it. So I say, if you said humble upbringing, you could take middle class and go down one notch. And that's about where we were. We always had enough, I knew I had enough to eat because my mama's always said, no, you've had plenty. So I knew that, I always had plenty to eat. And, and I was okay with that as a kid, right? And then at 16, I took my first big step into becoming a success. Then I became a janitor, which I didn't mind because business was always picking up. What?
If I had known,
you would have had. Where's the symbol when you need it? Anyway, so
I'll edit it in later.
Yeah, and that symbol is the one I like, as opposed to the other symbol people show me when I accidentally cut them off while driving. That's a whole different symbol. Anyway, so I like the ka-choom one, that way. So at 16 years old, I became a janitor, and there was 2 profound events that happened in my life when I was 16. The one was I was able to be bonded, which means insured. So if my buffer hit some piece of equipment, the insurance company would pay for it, that kind of thing. So it allowed me to be in expensive buildings and businesses, and also allowed me to be in expensive homes when we were cleaning. So every Wednesday, I cleaned the house of a lady who, when I say her name, won't mean anything to your listeners until I make the movie reference. And there was a movie out a couple of years back, And it's still on streaming and probably will be for a number of years because it's actually a pretty good view. It's called The Founder. It's about the McDonald's story and Ray Kroc and et cetera, right? And Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc, right?
I've seen that movie.
All right. Okay. Well, great. Then you're going to appreciate the references. First of all, I lived there, all right, during my whole lifetime. In fact, in the movie, Michael Keaton, Ray Kroc, refers to his first franchise as McDonald's #1 in Des Plaines, Illinois. We drove by that McDonald's 200 times because it was the end of our milk route when I was a little kid. And I remember when the sign changed to 1 million hamburgers sold. And I thought, 1 million burgers? That's more than I could eat in a day. You know, that was just a lot of burgers. And certainly a little different today, right? Billions. But so I witnessed this whole phenomenon, right? And I want to say that, well, first of all, in the movie, Michael Keaton, Ray Kroc, he's constantly talking to a lady outside his office. June this, June this, June this, right? And she's in the whole movie. The gal that's with him, she's with him before he even meets the McDonald's brothers when he's a milkshake mixer salesman, right? That lady's name is June Martino. That lady is the lady whose house I cleaned every Wednesday, right? Now, when I met her, she had the third most controlling stock in McDonald's. So she was an icon of the area, you know. And so everyone knew who June Martino was. And the world headquarters for McDonald's was in Oak Brook, Illinois, right where I was at. And she lived in Ginger Creek, which was an annex of Oak Brook area. And so first I want to say, the movie at the beginning says, if any of your listeners haven't seen it, they should. It's a good view. But I will say, more Hollywood spin than fact. In the beginning, it says based on a true story. It's true. It's based on a true story, but it's not the true story. I mean, they paint Ray in a way. Ray Kroc was not that way. They had to make someone the evil businessman, so they paint him that way. That wasn't the way it was. It really genuinely was not. But there's many events that did take place that are nodded to, which is what makes it an interesting view. And at one point in the movie, June Martino goes to Ray and says, "Ray, we got a problem." And he then tells him we're out of money. And then Ray calls the brothers. They have an argument. I need more percentage. He slams on the phone. Well, that happened, but not that way. And the point was, June told me, backing up for a minute, when I was in her house cleaning, one of the things that was amazing to me was she was so different than what I thought ultra successful people were. I thought to be successful, and I don't know where it came from, Bethany, and I was just wrong. I just had this perception that you had to be able to step on people and take from them and push them down, and just had to be a jerk to be able to make it. She was so the opposite. It wasn't even funny. So approachable, so nice. In fact, if I was buffing the floor, because I was there to do the swimming pool, their indoor swimming pool in the garage, and buffing the floor with special buffing pads and stuff, and if I was looking down, buffing the floor, and she walked through the room, she would say hello, even if I didn't look up. I mean, very approachable, very nice. And so one day, I got up all my courage as a snot-nosed 16-year-old, and I'm going to ask June Martino, the icon of McDonald's, a question. So I'm shaking in my janitorial boots as I walk up to her. And I say, "June." She goes, "Hi." I mean, she knew who I was. She'd already said hi to me hundreds of times from every Wednesday being in there. And she said, I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Sure." And I said, "Well, can you tell me about it?" She said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, the whole McDonald's thing." I'm not kidding. Bethany, she put her arm around me, brought me in the kitchen, and the entire day told me the entire story from when she worked for Ray, when he was a milkshake mixer salesman at Prince Castle, all the way through virtually to the minute we're sitting in the kitchen. She even had the maid and butlers bringing us food. She had a full-time maid, full-time butler, bringing us food in the kitchen so she can keep telling me the story. And I'm thinking, who's she talking to? She can't be talking to this snot-nosed 16-year-old for a whole day, telling me the story in her kitchen. I thought, what in the world is this? I kept looking around thinking, is she talking to someone else? What's she telling me all this for? I just asked her that question. Never expected a full day kind of response. And then she told me about a part in the movie, you'll remember, where, getting back to that point of where they said they ran out of money. She made an agreement with Ray that she would keep working for him, and he would not pay her anything. And he would pay her in worth less than zero company stock. It wasn't worth anything. It was underwater, right? And he would take some of the bill collector phone calls that people called and asked her for money. That was the deal. So I asked her a simple question. I said, "June, why'd you do it? I said, I'm a janitor. I work paycheck to paycheck, Friday to Friday, right? Why in the world did you work for nothing? She sat back and did this eye lock on me like I've never had anyone do before or after, and just stared at me, and I could tell she just left home. She's staring right at me, though, and I'm thinking, where do I look? Because she's staring right eyeball to eyeball. But I could tell, I just asked her a question inadvertently that no one had ever asked her. Everyone wanted to know what happened with McDonald's, but no one ever wanted to know why. And I just asked her, why'd you do it? And when she spoke, Bethany, it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. And I still remember what she said, the way she said it, and my first thought immediately after. When I asked her, June, why'd you do it? Why'd you work for nothing? She then said, because I believed in Ray. And the way she said it really hit me. And my first thought was, that's it. I need to find me a Ray Kroc, because it didn't work out too bad for her. I'm cleaning her $1 million mansion. It was $1 million mansion back then. And she got a full-time maid and butler, Rolls Royce in the garage. I need a Ray Kroc. That's what I need, someone to put me under their wing, teach me everything I can learn, because I know one thing for sure. I know I don't know what it is I'm supposed to know. I don't even know what it is. I just know I don't know it, right? That's all I know. So I threw it out there.
16, that's like the wisest thing you could ever know about yourself, is that you don't know.
Well, I wanted that Rolls Royce. I wanted that mansion, full-time maid and butler. 16 years old, I'm about the money, right? Thinking, I want to get rich, and then I can live happily ever after. Not realizing even then I had that backwards. We're supposed to be happy first, then the wealth, right? But at 16, I'm about the money, right? I want to make the money, and I'm seeing this wealth lavish all around me. So I threw it out there. Where would I find my Ray Kroc? Where would he be? And then it wasn't 2 months later, we got a phone call at the janitorial service. I was still working. My boss sent me to go show some carpeting to a guy that was opening a diamond store. He was in from Detroit and opening a diamond store in Chicago. And so I went, and we hit it off. He offered me a job, and he became the father I never had, even though I had a father. And I became the son he never had, even though he had a son. And he was a puritanical genius, and he became my mentor. And I can share with you that all the blessings I've had in life, and I've been very blessed. There's been a lot of challenging moments and a lot of blessings. And all of those blessings were directly relatable to what he taught me over a number of years as my mentor. And I share with people, and that's why I've become such an advocate for mentoring. And I share with people, in my world, if you don't have a mentor, we call that naive. That's what we call it, right? Because, and when you get a mentor, here's a couple of two important things to consider when you want to get a mentor. Number one, they're out there, they want to share, but they want to make sure you want to know for the right reason. Then they'll share. I think one of the reasons that June took that time with me is she sensed I wasn't trying to schmooze up to June Martino and asking this question to get to know June. I really wanted to know what happened with this whole thing. It was intriguing to me. And I think she sensed that intrigue and that it was really sincere. A true mentor, they'll be able to sense that. Secondly, I've met over my career many educated idiots. These are the people that have all the book knowledge, that can spew it all back at you, but have never done it themselves. They have zero execution and zero implementation skills, aka educated idiot. They have all the knowledge, never have done it. And that's why when you have a mentor, it's so critical to have a mentor who has done it. Because when they have done it, they bring with them all the things that didn't work also. There's the wisdom right there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Here's why. That's going to hurt if you do that. And a real mentor has that, and they can bring that to the table. And I was very blessed to meet this man. So at 19 years old, I asked Sam Robbins, my mentor, I said, Sam, will you teach it all to me? All of it. Don't hold back. I want to know it all. And he said, okay, I will. But I want one thing from you. He said, when the time is right, and you will know that time, I want you to teach as many people as you can everything that I've taught you. So at 19 years old, I made a vow. I made an oath that today has manifest as Givers University.
Very cool. So there's so much I could go, so many directions I could go with that, but define a mentor. Could it be a business coach, or does it need to be somebody who is a different kind of relationship?
That's a great question. A coach, at least for my vernacular, a coach would be someone who can teach you a thing, teach you a skill, right? A mentor is a much more personal, intimate relationship. A mentor gets into why we think the way we think and how to rewire that. That's one of the things, I call it a miracle, that my business mentor did, is he took those son of a milkman, burnt out janitor, me thinking my fun night was getting free songs on a jukebox when I clean a bowling alley, and he put those burnt out wires together. He cut them up and reassembled them so that my thought process was no longer that of a son of a milkman. And he helped me wire that. And that's an ongoing process. That's a step-by-step. This is what you do here. This is what you do here. We're getting ready to make this is going to be a whopper mistake. Let's look at that. So it's a whole different perspective. So I give a distinction between what I would call a coach, who can teach you a skill at a given time, as opposed to a mentor that's a much more intimate, close relationship with a person who really wants you to, in all ways, become the person that you really can become.
Was there other sources of wisdom that you got besides from your mentor?
Yes. I was blessed to have a radio show, and in 2 years' time, I interviewed over 1,000 millionaires in 2 years. And I was looking for the common denominator. It was interesting to me that when you add an average person's life income together, I mean, each year, add all the years together, even today, it's not quite $1 million. So I wonder, why these 1,000+ people? What did they do that's so different that most people, the mass majority, will never do? What did they do different, right? And so I was searching for those common threads, those common denominators between all of them, from different industries, different backgrounds, different age groups, literally the whole gamut, and looking for those commonalities. So that information, again, even though I was interviewing them on the air, it was the questions off air that I was personally interested in. That's where my education came in and what I was looking for. And it was astonishing, some of the answers. And there were certain commonalities. One of them I can share with your listeners. All of them, not some, 100% of them could tell me a story about when everything in their life told them to quit. Their family, their friends, their neighbors, the economy, the business, the bank, the political situation, whatever the reason, it seemed like everything had turned against them. They all, not some of them, all of them had that story. And what was
defining moment.
Yeah, for sure. And what was funny was that here's these people from different backgrounds, didn't know each other, different time periods when I was interviewing them even. And some of them even used very similar words when they said the next thing after their story. They said, things were so dark. I actually took the next step to see if there was anything else that could go wrong. Like, did I miss anything? How could I have missed anything? And if it is, I'm curious to see what it is, because I'm out of things, I think. And they said when they took that next step, when everything told them to stop, and there was no rational reason for taking the next step. Even if it was morbid curiosity, they took the next step. And when they did, they all said, again in similar thematic words, it was like failure left. It was like it said, this person doesn't know when to give up, so I'm going to go screw up someone else's life, and, I'm just going to have to leave it. And they said, and all of a sudden things just started coming together. In spite of, and many of them said, even in spite of me. They said those words. Things started coming together. And that to me evidenced some of the most defining moments, and also edified something my mentor taught me. He said to me, don't look for the answers. He said, everyone lives backwards. Everyone wants to know the answer. He said, that's wrong. It's backwards. He said, the answers are omnipresent. They're always around us. They always have been. They always will be. The answers always are there. He said, focus on asking the right question. He said, because when we ask the right question, the answers will be there. He said, the majority of people go through life asking the wrong questions. Then they're surprised when they get the wrong answer, which was nothing more than the answer to the wrong question they asked. Now they're surprised at the answer. He said, don't worry about the answers. Focus on asking the right questions, then because the answers are there anyway. He said, then the right answer will be there. So he taught me how to focus and fine-tune those questions. And he said, inadvertently, whether you knew it or not, when you said, way back when to June Martino, where's my mentor? Where would I find my mentor? Inadvertently, you asked the right question.
Mm.
And 2 months later, you got the right answer. He said, now who knows? He said, all I can tell you, and I can share with you over and over again, that was profound information to not seek the answers, but seek the right questions. And the answers will always make themselves available to us because they're there already. They always have been. They always will be.
Right. It's a shift in mindset. You changed your mindset from, I can do this myself, to being open to, I need somebody else to help me next level and continue my journey.
And that's why Bethany Meadows are so important in life, because you have a vantage point when you work with people. I call it, I said, think about football. I said, there's a reason the coach in the football team doesn't stand next to the quarterback. There's a reason for that, because he would just see what the quarterback sees. But when he's on the sideline, he has a different vantage point that the quarterback does not have and cannot have, because he's at a different place. So to have that vantage point, be able to see both teams, whispering to quarterbacks in his ear, be careful, there's a really big guy, 300 pounds coming at you, and he's about ready to knock you down. Here he's coming at you. To be able, see, he can see that where the quarterback can't, because there's another 300-pound guy in front of him, right? So that's why Bethany Meadows are so important in life, because you can bring to other people that sideline vantage point they must not want. And I've heard people say, well, I can't afford people like Bethany. And I say, you know what? The fact that you said that proves you need to figure out a way to pay for it. Otherwise, you wouldn't say that. You would have the money. The mere fact you don't have the money and you can't afford her means you need her. That's the proof you need her, right? Like someone said, I can't afford self-growth. And because we're advocates for taking 10% of your income and putting it into self-growth. 10% of your income every month, every year, put it into you, right? Put it into getting your do-how up to your know-how, right? Get it up there. And so, they say, well, I can't afford 10%. And I said, if you can't afford it, you need to. That the proof is you need to put into 10%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying those words. So that's why coaches are so critical for people, and they don't realize how important that is. So I became an advocate for mentoring. My mentor shared with me so many different things. And he shared with me a couple of extraordinary things I'd like to share with your listeners that may provoke some interesting thought that maybe they never thought of before, if I may. The one is, at 19 years old, Sam came to me and he said, let me tell you about this thing called life. I thought, okay, this should be interesting. And he said, picture in your mind this scale. And on the right side of the scale, all the things you're going to get in life, all the benefits, the rewards, the incomes, all the great things you're going to have in your life are all coming from the right side of the scale. He said, the left side of the scale is all the things you're going to give. Your income, your time, you're going to help, invest, your charity, all the things you're going to do, you're going to put that on the left side of the scale. He said, now here's what's interesting about this scale. It's never out of balance. It seeks balance all the time. And even at a static moment, when it seems like it's out of balance, it's not. It rights itself all the time. He said, the next thing I'm going to tell you will be hard. It'll be difficult for you. But once you get your head around it, you will be unstoppable. He said, here it is. Here's the hard part. Forget about the right side. He said, your goal and your new goal is to every day heave so much on that left side of the scale. In fact, your daily goal is to get the scale out of balance with all of your might, that you've put so much on the left side that you force that scale out of balance. And he said, and when you do that, you'll never have to worry about what comes to you on the right side. I can share with you that works. I was at a meeting it was a number of months back now, and this lady was there and it was sort of speakers getting together and sort of talking, sort of meet and greet kind of thing before the event. And the gal says, she says, well, she said, I don't like to give away all my stuff because people always try to steal my stuff. And of course, I'm at the point in my life where it really doesn't matter to me what people think of me anymore. I'm gonna point at the elephant in the center of the room. I want everyone to see it, right? So I said the following to her. I said, well, you're not gonna like what I like to say, what I'm gonna say next. In fact, you probably won't even like me after it, but I feel honor bound to say it. If you feel that you don't like to give away all your stuff because you're concerned someone's gonna steal it, you don't have enough stuff. You need more stuff. Said because you should be such a well that can never be emptied with information that they never could. And I was right. She never talked to me again. All right, so that's the giver scale of life, right? The next thing was still even today, 4+ decades later, I'm still astonished by this. My mentor and I, as I worked my way in years and years together, we eventually became equal partners in many businesses. And we were splitting everything 50-50. Split income the same, everything. We owned businesses 50-50. So, and his health was deteriorating. I mean, he had diabetes from a young age, whole different story. But it really did take a toll on him. And his health was clearly deteriorating at a rapid rate, and we knew it. We both knew it, right? So one day he came into my office and he said, EA, I would like to propose that we compete against each other. And that caused me to look up from what I was doing. I said, what? And he said, I would like to propose we compete against each other. And he had that look in his eyes. And I don't know if you remember, years and years and years ago, there was a show called The Monkees. It was about this fictitious musical group, right? And Davy Jones, in one of the characters, fell in love in every episode. Whenever he did, his eyes turned to stars and his eyes would twinkle, right? All right. My mentor had that look. I knew that look. When that look was in his eyes, I thought, boy, this is going to be really interesting. He had the Davy Jones look, as I called it, right? So he says to me, yeah, we're going to compete. I'd like to propose. I said, okay, what does that mean? He said, well, this is the competition. Every year we compete, year to year, to see who can make the other one more money. And whoever makes the other one more money, they're the winner. The other one's the loser. So the winner gets to ask the loser for anything they want, and the loser has to buy it. I said, wait. Okay, let me make sure I understand this for a minute. I said, so what you're saying, Sam, is, okay, we're going to, year by year, we're going to compete, see who can make each other more money. So if you make me next year more money than I made you, you win, I lose. Because I lost and you won, you get to ask for anything you want, and I, as the loser, I have to buy it for you? He said, yep, that's it. I said, okay, so the other side's true also. That means if I make you more money, I win, you lose, and I get to ask for anything, and you have to buy. He said, yeah, that's right. Bethy, I'll never forget the sigh I made before I said yes, because it was one of those, okay, this is going to be really interesting. And the next year, Bethany, he beat me so bad, it was brutal. And I ended up paying cash for him for a house in Florida. Cashed it out. Now, I couldn't be mad. I had the money. He had made me more money than I made him. So I thought, man, I better get smart quick. This is going to get really rough if this goes on. So the next year I did get smarter, and I won, and he bought me a plane, and that's when I became a commercial pilot. The next year I won, he bought me a limousine, and I had a full-time valet. The next year he bought me another aircraft. I had 2 aircraft that I owned, right? And then we started carrying it forward, and then it hit me. Oh my God, I got it. It took me 4 years to figure out what he had really done. His health was deteriorating. He knew it, right? He could not keep up with me. He wanted to, but physically, because his health was deteriorating, I'm 33 years old at this time. He can't keep up with me schedule-wise, time-wise, pace. He's just not able to do it, right? He wanted me to win. He wanted me because he had figured out that if we're splitting everything 50-50, I'm working harder than him because he wants to, but he can't keep up. So I'm putting in more, if you will. He didn't want my head to get goofed up because we were split at 50-50. He wanted me to have something he didn't get as my extra thing because of all the effort I was putting in. And when that hit me, Bethany, I thought to myself, What kind of man comes up with this stuff? To think forward in his mind that my mind might get screwed up. And to put together what I later on began to refer to as the giver's contest intention. And that is the ability to be able to give more than we expect to get back. And people are wired, unfortunately, to do the opposite, and they don't realize. So I followed what my mentor taught me. Right? When I was 33 years old was the first year I earned $1 million in personal income salary after I paid taxes in 1 year. That wasn't business income. That was my personal salary. Now, no one can tell me it doesn't work. It's not too utopian, but you have to have the right people around you. Mm-hmm. So that brings me to really, how do we get the right people around us as we sort of finish up here a little bit in the interest of time. We teach people at Givers University, and I'll just sort of, again, it is the condensation of all these things. I didn't make up any of this. I made up none of it whatsoever. I was a conduit because my mentor talked me into thinking I can do it. What? Anyway, so So we teach people how to form their own community. So first of all, someone said, what do you do at Givers University? I say one word, discernment. We teach discernment. It's a skill that's not being taught anywhere that I have seen. And that is as follows. I say to your listeners emphatically, we love everybody. I say it again. We love everybody. But we teach a skill. We teach people how to separate the person who we love from their deeds, which we may not love. And from observing, an observation skill, an awareness skill, we teach them, observe what they're doing, observe the deeds, and from that you can begin to discern, should I pull them closer into my life and make them part of my close inner circle, my giver community, or because of what I see them doing, should I begin respectfully, not rude or nasty, respectfully begin to distance myself from them, because if I bring them closer based on what I see them doing, they're going to make me collateral damage. And I'm going to be stomping out fires not of my making. And my stress level is going to come up every time I see or hear their name or see them come towards me. And then my productivity goes down because I'm stomping out fires that weren't of my making, let alone stress and everything else. So we teach people, how do you discern? It's like, a number of interviews back, this guy goes, wow, this is really great stuff. I read this book. It said I have to have 5 good people around me. I said, you're right, you do. You need to have 5 good people around you. One question. Which 5? And all of a sudden he's staring at me with this blank look. I said, you see my point? No one's teaching which 5. So when we say giver, we're not labeling a person. We don't label people. We're identifying giver deeds. When we say taker, we're not labeling the person a taker. We're labeling taker deeds, their deeds. So we teach an observation skill even by checklists, giving them, we have one checklist that's called the 25 do's. We give it away free. We want people to have it. We want them to download it. We want them to print it off and put it in their pocket. It's going to totally change your life because they will begin to use a skill not being used on how do you decide which 5. Who do you want to have closest to you? And so the simple way we say it in Givers University is, your talk talks, and your walk talks, but your walk talks louder than your talk talks. We watch their walk. Watch what they do. In fact, here's a checklist of 25 things to be watching, 25 deeds. And you can literally just go down and make checklists on either side, and at the bottom total it, and you're already headed down the path. Whether you should you think about bringing them in, or should you be respectfully distancing yourself? The impact is profound on how it can be used in business, socially, and even in the family. So we teach a skill of discernment, and we teach people how to surround themselves with the right people. The next 2 minutes, I'm going to download the 7 steps so everyone can listen to this podcast over and over again. And I'm also going to show them where they can hear this in much more detailed version, absolutely free, right? We teach people how to build the community around them. How do you build the community around you? And we have 7 steps that spells out the word discern. It's an acronym, DISCERN. Each letter is a different step, right? So we on our YouTube channel, it's Givers University, all one word, no spaces. Just go to YouTube, put in Givers University, no spaces. And they will go to the top playlist, and it's how to form your own Givers community. We call it a junto. A junto, basically by definition, is a group of people who have gotten together for a common interest or purpose. That's a junto. You can easily supplant the word and interchange the word community with it. It's a top playlist on our YouTube channel. There's 21 episodes, all 2 minutes, about 2 minutes in length, step by step. The very first 2 minutes is, what is the difference between a giver's junto, a giver's community, and a taker community? What's the difference? The next one is, how do you decide who to invite? The next one, and we go, and then the last 4 clips are the agenda. Now that you have the group formed, what do you do? What do you talk about, right? So we actually, Napoleon Hill years ago did an amazing, masterful book called Think and Grow Rich, and he talks about the mastermind. Now, when Napoleon Hill started talking about that, it was quite novel, and he explains what it is. But he never explains how to do it. He explains what it is, right? We explain how to do it. The mastermind on steroids, if you will. This is step by step, because I've always been amazed on why a couple people would get together and they say, let's form a mastermind group. And then 2 or 3 months later, it just sort of dissipates. It just sort of falls apart. And there was a curiosity. Why does that happen? So we began to look at what are the ingredients, what was missing, what caused it to dissipate, and what is the glue you need to have in place. So they can see in 2-minute clips, 21 episodes, walks them through all the way through difference of giver to taker community, all the way through to even do what to do in your agenda. Everything in between, right? Absolutely free. We want them to do it. So if anyone wants to form a mastermind group, here's the template of the things you need to do step by step. So to hit in bullet format, the 7 letters and what they mean. To spell out the word discern. D stands for decide. First you got to decide who you want to have as around you close, right? Who? How do you do that? We teach them that. The 25 do's is the great checklist to help them do that. I, in discern, is for invite. You got to invite them. How do you invite them? What do you say? The S is for seed. Seed the junto. That means there are certain expectational agreements that everyone should have up front that you should craft up front and simply say, these are the following agreements that we all hold each other, and I myself hold myself accountable to. These are expectational agreements we all have. We even give them examples of what these agreements would be in those YouTube clips I was sharing with you. So S is for seed. That's seeding the junto with expectational agreements. The C is for convene. You got to convene on a regular time. Weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, monthly. Convene on a regular time. E, establish. Give it a name. Give your community or your junto a name, right? Ben Franklin called his the Leather Apron Club. Henry Ford called his the 4 Vagabonds, right? Give it a name, because when you give it a name, you're establishing it, and now your members, assumably 2 to 12, there's different kinds of juntos, and we describe those as well. They're now a part of something, which is critical. The next R in discern is rotate. Every meeting have a different person leading it. Go around the room. Every person's a different chair every week. Right? The next one is numbers. Seed as many juntos as you can. Become a part, not so that you get more from them, but so that you can contribute to other leaders' lives and other business owners and small business owners' lives. So again, the letters are running through them. Decide, invite, seed, convene, establish, rotate, and numbers. That spells discern. They can see all those in detail, 2-minute clips explaining them. I just said what they were. In those clips, we explain this is how you do it. Here's an example. Here's why you do it this way. And simple little clips going all the way across.
Great. I'll actually go grab all of the links to those videos and put it in the description for this podcast episode so people can find them easily.
Business owners is very important, especially small business owners. How do you surround yourself with the right people?
That's right.
And not one of these, let's hand you, everyone brings a business card and gives it to the other, and they all give it's the person they don't like, and they give them a card of someone they don't like, and the whole premise is backwards, and they will quickly see, and when they get through it, when they go through those 21 episodes, they go, oh, I can see how that would really work now. What were the missing ingredients? What was the glue that was missing? What was, no one gave thought to the agenda in advance and what we do and what's our labor of love as a group? What's the thing we're a part of that's bigger than all of us? We walk through every bit of that step by step. Another thing your listeners can do sort of in closing is they can go to our website, giversuniversity.com. plural, giversuniversity.com, and sign up for our newsletter. It's absolutely free. We're not spammers, so the moment they do that, they're going to get an email that says, do you want to talk to Givers University? If they do not answer that, they will get no other communications from us. We don't spam. They have to say, yes, I want to get emails from Givers University. When they do that, 2 hours later, they're going to get that 25 dues checklist I talked about. The D and Decide, that list of 25 deeds, they will get that 2 hours later in a download form. Download it, print it off, share it with others, get it out there. It's critical information for people that want to have the right kind of people around them and don't know how to decide which ones. This is how you do it, right? Then and then every Thursday thereafter, I hate that. You sign up for something, they blow up your email. You're getting 6 emails a day from them, unsubscribe, that kind of thing. Once a week on Thursday morning, we send out one email. It's about a 5-minute read. It's called the Givers Toolbox. We give them a new tool they can add into their relationship toolbox every single week on Thursday morning only. One email. And from that, they learn who Givers University is. We have online courses. We have our Give to Be Great courses and the Giver's Mindset, Giver's Lifestyle. These are different courses we have. They learn about those. More importantly, we are nurturers, and our objective, Bethany, simply put, is to get that scale out of balance. Put and heave so much on the left side of that scale that we are forcing it to go out of balance for a snapshot and moment in time.
I love it. I love it. EA, you brought the wisdom today. You brought some good practical, before we started the show, I said, you asked me, who my audience was so that you could speak more directly to them. And I said, we're very practical, tactical. We love lists. We love things that we can take action on. And you delivered. I mean, this is fantastic. I'm going to dig into your videos myself. And I'll put all the information in the description
Awesome.
For the podcast so people can get access to it as well. We can tell that you're very generous with your resources, and we love that. That's part of your philosophy, right?
That's right. And it's great to never run out of stuff.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being here. Again, it's giversuniversity.com, right?
Yes.
Where you can go. And this has been a great time together. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the time that you have spent pouring into our listeners and our audience here today.